Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome to a new class for the secondary from your book The Traveler 4. Today we have, as you can see on the screen, we have writing. So only writing for today. So let's get started with the objectives. We have, as you can see, 3 objectives. So in this lesson you can, 1, prepare for the writing task, how you prepare for writing. We know that writing you need to prepare before you write. And 2, understand the organization and stylistic features of a balanced essay. So, writing needs some organization and it needs a style. So we'll talk about how we make our paragraphs or our essays or our writing has organization and a style. And number 3, we're going to try to understand the content of the essay, brainstorm, and complete the outline of an essay. So before you write, you need to know how to organize your essay, and you need to write some tips, and you read some, you need to write some, keywords, and then this will help you write and brainstorm and think and look for information, and then you follow the outline of your writing. So if we get started with the beginning and warm-up, when you write an essay, it means you have to write an introduction, and you have a body, and you have a conclusion. So for the introduction, you need 1 paragraph, and for the body, you need 2 or 3 paragraphs, and for the conclusion, sometimes 1 or 2. So this is how we write an essay. So this is actually, what does an essay mean? It means a set of paragraphs starting with an introduction, and then you have a couple of paragraphs, we call them the body of the essay, and finally a conclusion or an ending paragraph. Now the essay, it's a short piece of writing. This is the definition of the essay. What does an essay mean? It's writing paragraphs together. So it's a short piece of writing on a particular subject, especially one done by students as part of the work for the course. So your teacher will ask you first to write words and match them, then you grow up and then you write sentences, and then after sentences you put them together and you make 1 paragraph, and the essay, then you write 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, and we call them an essay. So if we talk about part-time jobs, since in our unit we're talking too much about future job, our study, and strange jobs, odd professions, and so on. Some college students and even some third secondary or second secondary students, they have a part-time job. It means they finish school or they finish the university and go for work. So they have part-time jobs, sometimes for 2 hours, sometimes for 4 hours, sometimes inside the house on the internet, and sometimes in a factory, in an office, or somewhere else. So the question is that if I ask you a question, is it common for high school or college students in your country to have part-time jobs? Why and why not? Actually, school, college, yes, I know too many students who study university, they have a part-time job, either as translation, as maybe drivers, as maybe they do the job online, but they have different jobs, and mostly they do an office job, and most of the time also in the evening. This is why students, some of them even those who really cannot afford the money, or even if they have money, they feel like they are men and they need to work and they need to pay for their tuitions in a college. Maybe also they need to pay for their study, for their house, and so on. So what are the advantages and the disadvantages for having a part-time job? Sometimes it affects your study, so you don't have time to do college study and prepare well for your tests or for your college life. And sometimes it has some advantage because you are a reliable person, so you depend on yourself and you make your own money, so you can spend your money in the way you like. Too many students I've seen them, or some students that I've seen them here, they do some part-time job. Either they sell kind of drinks or some local food, or even some perfumes inside their cars, and they do this most of the time in the evening because in the morning they either go to college or they have something else to do. So there are advantages and disadvantages. One of the major advantages is that you rely on yourself, you make your own money, you pay for your expenses, and many people say that in the future you will be a very great person or a great man because you are depending on yourself, and you may help others too. Sometimes there are some disadvantages if you work too much, so you don't have time to study or prepare well for your test, or you put yourself in troubles because in some countries it's not allowed to work if you're if you're under 18 years old. So here is some exercise of an essay. It's written like you can see here, and I hope you try to also depend on yourself and write an essay like this. Okay? So let's pretend that I wrote this or someone else wrote this essay, and I'm going to read for you the essay, and then this is a sample writing, and then we'll answer some questions after this. Most of the time when we have reading, most of the time there are questions that follow the reading, either true, false, or either about comprehension or vocabulary or matching. But today we'll talk about writing, and you can see that there are some words or some expressions that are highlighted in red. It means you need to pay attention to these words because, of course, they were highlighted in red for some reason. It means we're going to ask you some questions about them. Now, I'm going to read for you very slowly, and I hope you follow me. It is quite common today for high school students not only to take part in extracurricular activities, but also to have a part-time job. Some of them have a steady job by the time they are 16 or 17. Working at such a young age can be a positive experience, but it may also have a number of disadvantages for the average teenager. First of all, having a job at a young age gives teens real-world experience in a workplace, as well as teaching them lessons about responsibility. For example, teens learn how to deal with social problems with co-workers or customers, or practical issues like punctuality and behaving professionally. Furthermore, earning an income helps a teen learn how to save and manage money responsibly. In spite of these advantages, there may also be certain disadvantages. Some teenagers might feel overwhelmed by the thought that they have left behind their youth too soon. What is more, some students may find it hard to keep up with their schoolwork and hold a job at the same time, and as a result, suffer from unnecessary stress and anxiety. Summing up, it would seem that the benefits of teenagers having a job are more than the possible disadvantages. However, students may need the help of their parents or employer in order to adjust to working. Moreover, they must find a way to balance their work, school, and personal life effectively. So as you can see, here is an essay that discusses the advantages and disadvantages of students in a college who do some part-time job. We have words highlighted in red and underlined, like as well as, furthermore, what is more, and moreover. So as you can see, this is a short essay. This paragraph is called the introduction, and here you have the body, which is paragraph 2 and 3, and paragraph 4 is the conclusion. So we have 1, paragraph 2, 3, 4. And we start the paragraph and we leave a space at the beginning. We start with a capital letter for every beginning of a sentence. So once you finish a sentence here, you start another sentence, you finish the sentence with a full stop, and then you start a sentence with a capital letter. And then you finish the sentence here, you end up with a full stop, you start the sentence with a capital letter. You finish the sentence here, you end up with a full stop, and then you finish from here to here with 3 or 4 sentences. The introduction, which is most of the time the introduction, the first part of an essay, you tell your readers about what are you going to write about. In the second paragraph, you discuss with details and examples the advantages, and then here you discuss in another paragraph the disadvantages. And finally, in the final paragraph, which is the conclusion, you tell your readers, or you write about your opinion, or you just sum up, or you write in short, what is your opinion, how do you think about this problem, if there is a solution for this problem, and you talk in general about, in short, about what you've written for. And remember, many people like to give their opinions, and to sum up, in a final paragraph, everything, and sometimes they say their opinion, sometimes they say what they prefer, and in short, you end up your writing with some kind of point of view. Now, if we have an exercise, because I told you once we have reading, what follows the reading, most of the time you have exercises. So we have the first exercise here and the second exercise here. Now, the first exercise, in which paragraph does the writer, in which paragraph? We have 4, right? We have 4 questions also. A, where does he refer to the advantages of having a part-time job? So if you have a part-time job, where did the writer talk about the advantages of having a part-time job? Was it in paragraph 1 or 2 or 3 or 4? Actually, yes, it was in the second paragraph. Sorry, as I told you. So here in the second paragraph, we write number 2. That was in the second paragraph. My writing is a little bit terrible, but that's okay. So it's in the second paragraph where he referred to the advantages of having a part-time job. Now, also, in which paragraph he referred to the disadvantages. You remember we said he talked, in the introduction, paragraph 1, the advantages in paragraph 2, disadvantages in paragraph number 3. That's right. So it was in a third paragraph where he talked about the disadvantages. And for C, where did the writer express his or her own opinion? You remember we say our opinion, of course, in the final paragraph, which is the conclusion, which is paragraph number 4. And finally, where did the writer refer briefly, in short, to the topic and make an initial comment? Of course, the remaining is in paragraph 1. So in the introduction paragraph, where he talked briefly about what he's going to talk about, which is the topic, and our topic was about, part-time jobs for students in a college. Now, in the second question, we're going to talk about the sample writing above is an essay. Okay, that was an essay. Now, if we read the following statements and decide which of them apply to the essay. So let's try to tick what applies in the essay. Okay, so what we mean by what applies in the essay, what was mentioned, what we talked about in the essay. Some of these from A to G we did not talk about, or we did not write about, or we did not read about in the essay. So we'll find and we'll put a tick, all right? We'll put a tick like this for the ones that we have mentioned in the essay. So I'm going to read very quickly. A, uses informal language. Did the writer use informal language? Do you remember this? States what he or she believes. Did he state about others, people's beliefs? Uses linking words and phrases, linking words like furthermore, to sum up, finally, moreover. Did he develop some kind of arguments? Was there some kind of argument talking about, you know, advantages and disadvantages? And E, did he use a short form of abbreviation like, you know, USA, KSA, KUST, and so on? Well, in F, did he narrate about past events? Did he talk about something happened in the past? And for G, did he give some examples and justifies his opinion? Did he say why he likes this one and why he doesn't like this? So number A is not mentioned. He did not use any informal language like gonna, wanna, or something like this. For B, yes, he stated about in B some beliefs, because he said people believe in this, some people don't believe in this, some people think this is correct, others don't think it's correct, and so on. So B was there in the reading. C, and also he used some linking verbs, as I told you, and phrases like linking like furthermore, moreover, some, as well as. And for D, yes, of course, he developed some arguments because he talked about the negatives and the positives, or the advantages and disadvantages, and he discussed from different point of view. And E, he did not use any abbreviations, no abbreviations for this, so we can exit, no problem. So we exit so far A and E, but B, C, D so far they were mentioned in a reading or in an essay. In F, did he narrate about past event? Did he talk about happened last year, 3 years ago? No. Finally, did he give some examples? Justifies yes. He gave some examples that if you work, you know, if you, he discussed the advantages of working a part-time job, and also he discussed some disadvantages of having a part-time job for college students. So here are the answers, as you can see. Second, third, and fourth and first paragraph, and we ticked B, C, D, and G. Now, these are some advice to help you write, and I hope you do this writing. So, when you write an essay, try to express your opinion. Try to say you like this and why. You support this and why. For example, underline the keywords in the rubric to get a clear idea of what your essay should focus on. Spend a couple of minutes to make a brief outline of what you plan to write. As I told you at the beginning, you start with a draft, brainstorm, think before you write, organize your writing into paragraphs, presenting the major points in separate paragraphs, expand your ideas by explaining them clearly and support them with reasons or examples. And finally, of course, since you're in a school or college, you need to write in a formal style and do not use abbreviations or short forms like didn't, don't, gonna, wanna, ain't, and so on. So let's try to give you some kind of homework. If you go and write about this, think about the following aspects of the issue and discussion and try to write maybe an essay. Then write an essay based on the outline you have made. So you make an outline and you start writing, write in, you know, some keywords, look for some information, brainstorm, write some key sentences, and then write on a draft and then correct, and write on a draft and then correct, and when you're done, that's it. So what are the advantages of staying in a foreign country? Do you think there are advantages and disadvantages if you want to study in UK, or let's say in France, or in the United States, or Australia, or Canada? talk about the advantages and disadvantages. Here is another, what you need to do, which is an outline. I told you we start with an introduction, and you ask yourself, what are you going to discuss? You can start saying that studying in a foreign language can be a good adventure if you are willing to study and you get a better certificate. And then you ask yourself, how do you feel about it? And then you start with the main part or the body of the essay. What are the advantages in one paragraph and what are the disadvantages of the situation in another paragraph? And are you going to discuss, of course, if you have advantages and disadvantages, you discuss. And finally, what kind of examples are going to include? So you have, if you like this, you have to give examples and say why. If you don't like this, you have to give examples and also say why. And finally, your conclusion, which is the final paragraph. What is your overall opinion about the issue? So what do you think? What is your opinion? What is your opinion? So that was the summary for today. We had a lot about writing, before writing and underlining, and we read the double writing, and we talked about parts of it, which is an introduction, couple of paragraphs as the main part, and the conclusion. These are the references taken from the Traveler 4 book and from other websites. Now you can watch this in anytime, anywhere. You have a toll-free number, Twitter account, and you can ask a question. And also you have a full technical support. See you.